I don't know if you realize it, but you're making history. Does it feel like it to you? I mean, that you've broken through all of these barriers? I mean, you're the first woman ever to do what you do.
I think what it hits me more is that there's more responsibility. I recognize that this is more than just about me. That this isn't just me doing my job, but there are a lot of women, there's men, fathers, daughters, that depend on me to not screw up.
I think when you're making history, you don't know it. It's not until you're done making it that you go, wow, that was profound. The 50, 80-year history of this sport and then all the television time, you're the first woman to do this.
It's opening the door to a lot of women. And that's where the responsibility kicks in. Because if I screw up, that door closes.
Right.
I want to knock the damn door down.
Hi, everybody. It's Ed Mylett. Welcome back to Max Out. I am so fired up about today's program. I've been chasing this lady to get on the show for chasing for like many
fast too,
hard to catch. In fact, so hard to catch. I had to drive all the way to your house to do this today. So this is a great pad, and it's a family home, which is reflective of you too. But this is important to me today because we didn't shoot it at my house. I came to you, and this lady, most of you recognize her, but if you don't, she's a trailblazer. And she's an incredible mother. She's an author. She's one of the greatest college softball players of all time. She's an Olympic Gold Medalist, and she is many, many other things, but she's also really the first female baseball announcer in the history of ESPN, and she is also the host of Sunday Night Baseball with my friend Alex Rodriguez. And so we got all kind of stuff to cover today. So thank you for being here.
Get after it.
Good to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm glad you're in my house.
I know. I'm pretty honored. It's cool. And we're sober today, guys. No alcohol in today's show.
I offered scotch.
She did. I wanted to keep it real. So thank you again for doing this. And I don't know if you realize it, but you're making history. Does it feel like it to you? I mean, that you've broken through all of these barriers? I mean, you're the first woman ever to do what you do in terms of the broadcasting realm. Do you ever think about that?
I don't think about it like history. I guess when you do stuff like that, it's for history. It's for when 30, 40 years from now and I got grandkids and we're sitting around the table and you look back. That's how I think of it. I think what it hits me more is that there's more responsibility.
Yeah.
So I recognize that this is more than just about me. That this isn't just me doing my job, but there are a lot of women, there's men, fathers, daughters, that depend on me to not screw up. I've recognized that from day one.
Yeah, it's true. When women knew that I had booked you, I got to tell you, I was struck by kind of the level of emotion from some of the women about how much they're rooting for you. And you're so great at it, so they don't really need to worry about that. But it's interesting to me. I think when you're making history, you don't know it. It's not until you're done making it that you go, wow, that was profound. But in the 50, 80-year history of this sport and then all the television time, you're the first woman to do this. And so it's pretty significant. I had Christine Simmons on my show, who's the president of the LA Sparks, and she's an African-American woman, and she said to me, she says, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm the first, and I want to do a good enough job so that I'm not the last.
Yeah, no, and that was honestly one of the biggest things. I talked to John Skipper, who was then president of ESPN, and him giving me the opportunity to be on Sunday Night Baseball. I was like, look, I just don't want this to be the, hey, we'll put her on for a couple games. Don't put me on unless it's something that we want to sustain. And not just with me, but just as far as opening the door to a lot of women. And that's where the responsibility kicks in. Because if I screw up, that door closes.
Right.
I want to knock the damn door down and just come on, everybody.
Right. Well, you're doing it because just recently you just signed a multi-year deal with them, so it doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon, right? So
I'm excited. Yeah, I get to stay.
Congratulations. That's because you've done such an amazing job, and Alex is constantly telling me how incredible you are. And frankly, before you and I had met, I was familiar with you, but I must tell you, he raved about you in our private conversations about you. He thinks the world of you. So, but I want to go back because I want people to, you're not the after, you're in progress, but I want people to kind of know a little bit more because I think they know you as the broadcaster. But if you really dig deeper, you're an incredible athlete as well, right? So this woman won a gold medal and a silver medal in the Olympics. And at Stanford in softball, right off camera, I said, you're one of the greatest college softball players of all time. He went, no, I'm not. And I said, well, at Stanford. She says, no, I'm not. But the truth is, you were a great athlete. Were you always a great athlete growing up?
No. Oh my gosh, Ed. I wish we had a reel I could just show you me. Around the holidays especially, my parents would break out old videos of, me as a kid, me playing softball, even running down the first baseline, I look like Phoebe from Friends. Like,
are
all
you
over the place.
serious? Like, when did you get good?
I mean, my dad was, he's a legendary in this area football, baseball coach.
Yep.
And I grew up on the sidelines. I grew up in the dugout. Coach's kid,
better get good.
always, you're just always practicing.
Yeah.
I have friends to this day that said, I hated coming to dinner at your house because your dad would make us work out
No
before
way.
we could eat.
No way.
I was like, oh, he made you do that too? And that was just the norm. I was like, is that not what you
Not
do
everybody
at your
does
house?
that?
Yeah, he's like,
Whoa.
yeah, no, he was intense.
It's funny because of a lot of the athletes I have on my show, not all of them, but usually one of the two parents instilled some sort of kind of crazy work ethic that they think is normal that nobody else in the world does when they were young. So it was your dad.
Yeah,
And your
for
dad played
sure.
college football at Fresno State, right?
Yes, dang, you did do your homework.
I did do my homework. And
Yeah.
I'm also told through a mutual friend of ours that your dad is a central figure in the sense that he's a huge fan of yours, but he'll also let you know what's up, both
Oh,
when you
yeah.
played and in broadcasting.
Oh, yeah.
And that your mom is more just a support and a fan. So
Yeah.
describe the dynamic. I think people that have children want to know, how do you make something like this, right? So what was that dynamic like, or is?
The balance is key. And I think understanding your kid. I mean, I got 2 boys now, and my sister and I were super different. And so just understanding the personality. Like, I mean, my dad pushed me, but my mom was there to also, she was incredibly intelligent, so she pushed the school end of it,
Okay.
but then was softer on the athlete. She was always just like, you're doing a great job, no matter what, on the sports side. When it came to school, it was like, you can do better.
Okay.
Whereas my dad was like, schoolwork, like, just get after it. And so they balanced each other,
Yeah.
and we could kind of find that happy medium. They both weren't like hardcore all the time.
Would your dad let you know after a game that if something wasn't acceptable or you didn't play well?
Oh, he never let me know the opposite. Like, it was, I mean,
Okay, go ahead.
I can't remember until I got to college. And I remember like the first moment, but until I got to college, I don't remember him ever saying like, good job. And I don't mean that in like a bad way. The coach in him, I could be 3 for 4 with 3 home runs. And we talk about the one at bat I didn't get on base.
No kidding.
And that mentality's still inside of me of, even in broadcasting, it's like, okay, like you can work and work, but there's always something you can get better.
I think sometimes, I'm that way a little bit too, and I think sometimes it says something to you that's powerful, which is like, we know you're better than this. I know you can be better than this. I think if you're willing to break the negative part down, even with your kids, because we're in this sort of positive PC world, like everything has to be.
Everyone gets a trophy.
Everyone gets
We're
a trophy.
All great.
But you said you remember the first time he
Yes.
validated something you did. What was that?
It's like it's yesterday. So it's funny. It's like such an emotional moment because it hit me like a lightning rod, and I'll never forget. We were in my parents' van. I was playing in a tournament, so I was at Stanford, freshman year, preseason tournament. We're in San Diego, and we just played Cal State Northridge. I was up to bat with the bases loaded. I'm batting third as a freshman, so
Unbelievable.
I'm feeling pressure, and in my mind, I'm like, this is who you want up to bat. You want the number 3 batter, bases loaded. This is a team that we should beat. And I struck out on a changeup, and I can remember the pitch. And it was a pretty fat changeup too, and I don't know, like just didn't see it, whatever. Like missed it. Game ends. We had like a break, so my parents took me to lunch before we had to be back for the next game. And I remember sitting in the back seat behind my dad. My mom's over here, and I'm just like, I mean, as down as they come, and I'm ready for it. Like, tell me what I did wrong, like, but I'm already like, I know I'm awful, like, He pulled the car over, and he turned around, and he's like, Jesse, like, don't you know that you're the best athlete that our family has ever seen? And I was just like head up, like, he's like, my dad played sports. He's like, I played in college. He's like, we had athletes. And he's like, I mean, he turned around to look at me, and he was so like emotional and proud. And he had never even come close. And all of a sudden it went from like that to like, don't you know?
Wow.
Like, you're this down on a strike. Like, don't you know who you are? Like, you're the best damn athlete this family has seen. And to come from the coach, like my dad, and like,
massive moment.
It literally like changed me, because it helped me see me for like the first time. Other than that, like up until that point, it was like just what he had done, just that constant, how can I be better? I'm not good enough. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, you think I'm like, it was. I know it sounds cheesy, but it was, and from that moment on, it was like it shifted.
Yeah.
He to this day, like, is my biggest fan, him and my mom, but like his ability now to say, I'm proud of you, and you are accomplishing more than I could have ever imagined. And sometimes it strikes him that it was a female in the family, and he said that too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he's just like, of all the men that we have in our family and the jocks, and he's like, I never would have thought it would have been a woman that would be in our family that would do the things, and now he's sold, like on women's athletics, and
So amazing.
it's cool.
I can just see your whole being changes when you talk about it. So that's wonderful. Man, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that very
well,
much.
It was definitely one of those, you have them that sprinkle throughout your life. And that was one that literally was like the heavens opened up and I was just like, wait, what? Like,
Wow.
Like,
This is such an accomplished woman. I love the title of the show is Max Out, but like you've really maxed out multiple areas. Like when I look at you, I'm like, I'm in your home. You can feel the spirit in your home and the love. And we're talking about your sons off camera and your husband, and just I can feel this is such a loving family. And you've got this unbelievable pioneering career that we're really going to get into the teeth of in a minute. It's trailblazing. It's changing something forever potentially, and it's you. It's probably got to blow your mind that it's you. But you were also an amazing athlete. And so don't be humble about this. Were you a 4-time All-American?
Yeah.
4-time All-American. Then you make the Olympic team and win a gold. What is winning a gold medal like?
what's cool is, okay, so we hear the national anthem how many times, in your lifetime as growing up as a kid, homeroom, games that you've played. I think what hit me with the Olympics, and this is a bit of my personality coming in. I mean, clearly I've loved the game of softball, dedicated most of my life to playing it. So there's that passion, right?
Yeah.
Then you get to the Olympics, and to me, in 2004, we had just gone into Iraq. So our political place in our country was very interesting at the time. That's me. Like, I'm someone that's very aware of a lot of that. And I remember, getting into the dining hall. And the cool thing about the Olympics is the Olympic Village. You've got 10,000 athletes. You have more countries represented in the Olympic Village than you do in the United Nations.
Whoa.
So my favorite piece of the Olympics, besides the on the field, was actually our meals.
Really?
Beyond the fact that I love to eat, but the fact that I would actually not sit with our team. I would go, and I remember clearly I wanted to sit down with the Iraqi soccer team. I'd met this Egyptian high jumper that was able to help me translate. And so I went down and sat with the Iraqi soccer team with this new friend that I met on the Egyptian track team, and literally just sat down and had conversations about what was happening between our two countries.
Oh my gosh, what a great story.
No, but it was like...
What did you get out of that?
Just honestly, how upset they were, and but yet here we are, and they were so just taken aback by the fact that I wanted to talk politics in the middle of this entire arena. And they ended up inviting me back to their side of the village, and we just hung out. We spent hours just kind of talking and getting into stuff, and and it didn't stop there. You meet athletes from all over, but the point is, when you have USA across your chest, I wanted to know what that really meant. And when you win a gold medal and now the anthem is playing, it brought such a sense of pride for our country that I don't want to say, I was always proud to be an American, but you grow up here, you don't really realize. And for me, talking to not just Iraqi athletes, but honestly, athletes that, finding out that they don't have any female representatives from their entire country. So knowing here that I grew up and I had opportunities galore from the age that I could first walk, throwing a ball and playing with other kids. And so to answer your question, you get a gold medal, but honestly, I lost it when we got up on that podium and our flag was raising, and you have USA across your chest, and it's you combine that, of course, all the hard work to win that gold, your teammates, your sisters, that love, and all the different things that make it complicated that sometimes you're not proud of, but at the end of the day, it's USA. This is who I am.
Wow. What an amazing story. That is an amazing story. I can just picture you sitting there talking to this Iraqi player. What an amazing experience.
And it was funny because my teammates were like, what are you doing?
Right.
What is going on? And I wouldn't give up. And I know it sounds, I guess, cheesy, but within the Olympic arena, to cross any border and have real conversations.
Yeah, I don't think it's cheesy, and I actually also think it's kind of a metaphor for who you are, which is that when there's an opportunity presented to you, you jump all over it in every aspect. And not everybody listening to this has the opportunity to go win a gold medal or be in the Olympics, but they do have a chance to get out of their comfort zone and go explore experiences and do something extraordinary. And this is no knock on the rest of your teammates, because they obviously won a gold medal, so there's something you share with them forever. But you were the one who went and did that, right? And so that really is important. Like, people, there's experiences all around you every day, every year. There's something where you could step into an uncomfortable space and just have an experience.
Well, going up to a stranger, like when you talk about uncomfortable, and more of my doors have opened because I've gone up to complete strangers by myself and just jumped. And I don't even know where I'm going. I'm like, I just know I need to talk to you.
Ooh,
so I'm going to start kind of bubbling through this.
This is very good.
Awkwardly talking to you. And then hopefully at some point we find like a conversation and connect.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
But I think people appreciate that.
They do appreciate that. I do the same thing, and I am awkward at it, and it's gone weird for me a few times too. But like, I want a rich life. Like, I want experiences. I don't want everybody else's life. And that's what I love about you. You haven't done that. You have this standard where, like, you want to dominate, right? And you did. She's one of the greatest softball players that's ever played that sport before. And it gets lost because you've become this pioneering broadcaster, I think, for a lot of people too. And you're so great at that. And I'm curious, you went and played professionally after that. You have a big life. I always say that to people, many of my friends, and I have this too, I just have a big life, meaning just have a lot of things going on at any given time.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn to navigate that when you're not successful, just having a lot of things going on, it's very difficult to navigate having a big life once you are successful. That's why a lot of people get to a level of success, they can't maintain it, because you've always juggled lots of stuff and had crazy hours, I assume. True for you?
Yeah, and the bad part is I don't know how to not do that. So there is a negative that can come with it, like it. And by no means has my path been perfect in the sense, like, I've juggled too many things and it's gotten way out of control. And
me too.
Now my off season, so you can relate, I literally plan stuff. Because, like, if I'm not working, because baseball season isn't going on, I drive my husband crazy because I'm like, let's fly here, let's do this, let's get the kids involved with that. And, like, I'm just, like, over planning because I can't just, like,
How do you balance that? I'd be really remiss if I didn't ask you, and then we'll get back in. How are you at balancing all this stuff? Mother, wife, broadcaster, author. How do you do that?
I've learned that, like, even the word balance is a bad word for me.
Me too. I just put a video out before I pulled up here today. I don't even believe in the concept. I think seeking is good, but you can't get it.
Because I get that question a lot. Like, how do you balance, especially family and work, like being a mom? And literally that word, like, makes me cringe because, especially, I feel like, and I'm not saying that men don't have it too, but I feel like for women that are moms, there's this idea that, like, working mom, I can, be hair done, go out and save the world, come home, apron on, dinner served, house is clean, kids are sitting neatly with a little, heck no. Like, I mean, you should see, my kids are in school right now, otherwise they'd be hanging all over crazy, like, wrestling you. And, it's crazy and it's not perfect and there isn't a balance. What I've learned and accepted is that there's times when I'm on the road and I'm missing stuff at home. So the balance is not. Like, I'm all in on work and I'm not all in at home. And that's hard to swallow.
Yes.
There's times I'm at home and I'm with the kids and I blow off a conference call and I'm like, you know what? I want to be in this moment. And honestly, my work suffers for it. How do you navigate? How do you, it's definitely imperfect. And the biggest message I just constantly want to get out there, especially for women that are considering having children, can I do it all? It's not about doing it all. It's doing what you're doing in the moment the best that you can.
For some reason, it seems more acceptable for a man to have certain areas of his life spiking. And that's what I say too. There's at any given time, different areas of your life are what I'd call spiking and take your attention. And you're exactly right, the way you even described it with your hands. But it seems as if it's somewhat acceptable when a male does it. And I don't want to overcook the pie here, but it does seem like women take more criticism oftentimes, or maybe feel more guilt about certain areas spiking at any given time.
It's both. Like, because I work with all men. And it's amazing to me how, I even had a manager once ask me the question, I think we were at spring training, he was like, oh, how long are you here? I'm like, oh, like 10 days, I'm going around to all the camps. And he's like, you have 2 kids? And I was like, yeah. He's like, how do you do it? How are you away? And I was like, how many kids do you have? He's like, 2. I'm like, how do you do it? Like, you're here for 3 months? Like, and I didn't mean it like, and I know this person well, it was just trying, and he was just like, oh, like, I'm like, it's the same, you're a dad, like a dad's just as important as a mom, like we're parents, right? Like, it's not perfect, but like 100%, and there is guilt for sure that I throw on myself, But 100%, like I never see men, even in interviews, or they never get asked, like, how do you be a dad and you're working? Like, I've never even heard that question before.
So true.
I get it all the time.
Yeah,
and,
it's so true.
and
By the
definitely
way,
judged by it.
yeah, very, very compelling answer. That's so true. So there's this time, your dream ended, you're juggling multiple things at once. You get into broadcasting through the softball space first, right? That's how it ends up happening. Were you, don't be humble either, I'm really curious because you said you weren't a good softball player at first, right?
Yeah.
You had to work at that. Did this come more natural? Were you pretty good at this in the very beginning, would you say?
I think I was just, what surprised me, because when I first got asked to audition, because there was a need, basically softball was exploding on television and they just needed more people. I remember my agent called and I just started laughing and I was like, can you imagine a mic in front of me, no filter? Like I'd be fired first day. Like there's no way. Like, and he's like, just go and try. Like just, it's not gonna hurt. No one's watching, it's an audition. Beth Mowens, who's now my broadcast partner, like for life on softball, had flown in for it. Never had met her before. And we sit down and they show a game, and we basically jump in on it. I can't tell you how natural it felt. Stuff that I realized I was already doing. Like, oh, did you see her back foot? Like on that,
Yeah.
And that passion and excitement that just genuinely I have. Plus the like knowledge of being a coach's kid my whole life and
Good point.
and literally every night breaking down video. Like that's what we did.
It's so weird to me, but that's so cool, though.
No, I know.
That's awesome.
We were a weird
it's
family.
actually beautiful because it's part of this story that explains you, like this work ethic and that extra stuff and the extra stuff, and like it's what people need to hear. It's like this is the true story of how you become special, and you'll never. Even when we're off camera, it's like you just don't accept that you're. When I say special, I don't mean like someone else can't replicate it. I mean like unique in that you've kept pushing past levels where most people said, my will to win's over. Like, okay, I won, that's enough. And that's, most people in life, they do that. Eventually their will to win kind of gets bought. Do you know what I mean? Like you can buy them with enough accolades or enough money or enough success or enough acknowledgement. And the really unique people in life, Alex is this way too, is that there's no destination at which place they want to stop growing.
Yeah.
Their will is not for sale. I hope that, I think I'm that way.
Well, there's a screwed up, I can speak for myself, so I don't want to speak for you or
Right.
Alex or anyone else,
Right.
but there's a screwed up insecurity that comes with it.
Yes.
And I've learned to be able to look myself in the mirror and see a strong, athletic, beautiful, like all these positives. But for a very long time, there's that sense of like, I'm not good enough.
Yes.
I have to be better. I got to work hard. And I know now, even in my own space, like I have to work double, triple as hard just to prove, unfortunately, that like, I know you don't think I belong, but I'm gonna kick your butt in like just proving
By
like,
being great.
just that I'm
Yeah.
prepared and that
Yeah.
I'm saying my points and I'm who I am.
I'm really glad you said that. Like I'm loving this because I am insecure too. And most successful people, I've had this insecurity that they're not good enough. And it doesn't always come from just a place of confidence or identity. Like I have a really high identity, so do you. I have self-confidence. Self-confidence is more like self-trust. So I really trust myself, but it doesn't mean I'm not insecure and I'm not measuring up.
Yeah.
And I also think really successful people hold themselves to such a high standard that there's always this power that's pulling them to another place compared to where they are, to where they know they could be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
think you have that. But the way you became a baseball, I mean, you really got the seat. As I understand the story, this is another example sort of, you had done some games, but this is another example of an opportunity opened up and like you jumped. And so we don't need to say who or what it was, but isn't it accurate that there was somebody who had been suspended, there was a role, and if I'm wrong, correct me and tell it the right
Yeah.
way, but part of it is you ended up getting a shot for a very short window in the main seat because of an issue with somebody else, and you seized the moment. Is that about right at some point?
I mean, I would already, yes, and for Sunday Night Baseball.
Right.
Which is what I'm doing now.
Right.
And you're right. It was the timing of all of it because I had done my first ever national baseball game, and that was on a Monday.
Okay.
The suspension happened on Wednesday, and I got a call Thursday asking me to be on that Sunday night. So I had just done my first ever Major League Baseball game.
So the training wheels are off quick.
It was like,
right.
let's try this.
But you had lots of on-air time, lots of softball time,
softball.
lots of stuff in softball.
And I'd
right?
covered baseball.
Right.
Like I'd done features
Yeah.
and more reporting.
Yes.
And I think for people that don't understand like the nuances of broadcasting, reporting and being an analyst, it all sounds the same, but it's totally different. Phil Orleans, who's actually my coordinating producer, my boss now, he said the point to me He's like, I'd love for you to continue being an analyst, but until we put you in the booth, that geographical change of maybe 60 yards will change how people see you forever. And I was actually satisfied as long as I could get my content in of not, I don't want to say just being a reporter, but like really like breaking down swings and doing that. I didn't care where I was. I was going to do it from the sideline. And that was so accepted there. Because at the end of the day, even if I was breaking down a swing, people were like, oh yeah, she's a female on the sideline. That's where she belongs.
They've seen female sideline reporters in the NFL,
this makes
the
sense.
NBA.
Yeah, that she can stay there. That's good. No matter what she's saying, like as long as she's there, we're good.
Whoa,
and it's literally just going up the stairs and sitting in a booth that changed everything.
Whoa. So Monday, you get to call Wednesday?
Thursday.
Okay.
The suspension happened Wednesday. Thursday, they needed a replacement, so I get a call, and they still weren't even sure. They were just kind of like, we're thinking about using you. And I'm like, oh, what Sunday? They're like, oh, like 2 days? And I was like, well, I need to fly somewhere. And like for that Monday game, Ed, just to give you like my nerdiness, I probably prepared 3.5 months for that one Monday game because I'd known I was doing it. So I'd flown all over the country. I met with the teams. I was like, okay, I'm ready. And I was like, well, who's playing? Like, what's going on? Like, I have to fly. Like, and I live here in LA, and it was a Dodger home game against the Cubs. And it was the game that Jake Arrieta threw a no-hitter, which was the first ever no-hitter on Sunday Night Baseball.
Come on.
In decades.
So
first game.
God's got his hand in a little bit here then, right? Like, come on. So your first daggum game.
It was a no-hitter. The only no-hitter to ever be on Sunday Night Baseball.
That's
my first game.
Look at that. My hairless arm has chills on it. That's so amazing. I didn't know that. And so you step into that. Here's one of these things you said earlier. There's a few of those moments in your life.
Yes. Oh,
right?
yeah.
This is one of them.
And I can remember that game. And and you're so right with like there being a hand for sure. Because I remember Buster Olney, who's the reporter who works on the game, who I didn't know well at that point, Sunday morning. So I'd come in, I live in LA, I know the Dodgers, like, thank goodness.
Yes.
And I'm offensive minded, so I'm all about hitting. So I came in with like tons of Dodgers, tons of hitting.
Yeah.
So you know what happens. For those that don't understand what a no-hitter is, like there's no offense from the Dodgers the entire game. But it was Saturday, I'd come over to the game, and Buster introduced me to Jake Arrieta, who was going to be the pitcher for the Cubs. It was going to throw, obviously none of us know this at the time.
Yeah.
And just walked over, recognized that this is her first day on the job. She knows nobody. Let me just be a good dude.
Really?
And introduce her to the starting pitcher tomorrow because that'll probably just help her a little bit.
Wow.
He introduces me, kind of breaks the ice to like, because I'd never met Jake and I'm nervous, and plus you're in a clubhouse, it's just a different environment. And the next thing I know, Jake and I start talking. He's super, him and I clicked right away because his brain, his understanding of his body, we ended up talking for 45 minutes. I got more information on Jake Arrieta than I could ever, and I didn't even write anything down. It was just like you connect with someone.
Did you use it during the game?
Well, then that's what allowed me.
That's all you had, right? That's what your stuff was.
Yeah. But I would have gone in with just like Dodgers offense, like yes, with no hits.
Yeah.
And instead I could dive into Jake because I'd just spoken to him the day before about just like how he throws the slider, why he gets his body into certain positions. And it was like amazing stuff. You
guys have to understand something. This is the first time Sunday Night Baseball, right? Like and you step in here and it's a daggum no-hitter.
It's like history-making game.
But you crushed, and what happens from there? Because guys, in the history of the sport, there's been one female to sit, also happens to be a Latina, by the way, who sits in that seat, right? What happens? Like, do you do another one and then another one? And they're like, hey, we think you're going to come back, or what happens?
Well, it was just supposed to be the game, and then the suspension ended up getting worse.
Right.
And so it ended up carrying out through the rest of the regular season. And the amount of media that came after that was incredible just because it was a no-hitter. So there's so many people like finally tuning in. They're like, wait, is that a woman's voice?
Yeah.
Like, so just like all these events happening. And then they kept me on and this was early September by this point. So it was another like 4 or 5 games. It wasn't like a ton.
Yeah.
But I got to finish off the season and then do our wild card game, which is the first postseason game.
You did a postseason game too?
That year. Yeah, it was Astros-Yankees.
Okay.
And then they asked me to come back and they signed me on to continue. And now I'm going into year 4.
That's unreal. And I got to tell you, I told you, we met in a gym, by the way, in St. Louis through Alex. And I told you this when we met, and I'm not. I mean this.
It's like perfect that I saw you in a gym because you kind of just like blended right in. I had no idea,
Right.
and then here you are in a gym because you're so buff. I was just like,
I'm
you're
buff,
like the
thank you.
fixture of
Thank
like
you.
the
That's
gym.
really nice. Whatever. They started
He was
to go.
kissing his biceps, and I was like,
well, once you guys went to that yoga room, like, I gotta go.
I thought you were going to do the workout with us.
I left during the yoga. But I got to tell you, I told you this then, and I say this to you now. I was a broadcast major. I have a show. I also played baseball, and I think you're incredible at what you do. You are my favorite broadcaster, and whether you were a man or a woman. And the reason is that your content preparation's off the charts, but people that are great at something bring a particular energy to it. And this is a lesson for everybody watching this, no matter what you do. Influence is energy, persuasion is energy, attraction is energy, and you have the ability to transfer energy through a camera, visually. You also do it with your voice. I think you're unbelievable at what you do. And also the way you break down the game is obviously very scientific, but you're incredible at what you do. Whether you were a male or a female, I just think you're excellent. I just want to tell you that.
Thank you.
You really are. And
Thank
I
you.
enjoy watching you, and I watched you for so long. And then obviously it morphs into just a couple questions about this too, because now it's changed the dynamic. Now there's like 3 of you in this box now, right? There's
Yeah.
3 people in there. Then sitting next to you is one of the 5 greatest people I think ever to, and you could argue even the best, but certainly in the top 5 ever to actually play that sport.
Yeah.
How did that impact you at all? I'm wondering, that dynamic of working with Alex, the fact that he was such an incredible player. Did that cause any thoughts, changes, the way you delivered things, anything like that?
I mean, so who I'd worked previously with was Aaron Boone, who was a hitter, wasn't nearly the hitter, obviously, of Alex, but was offensive. I didn't work with a pitcher. So
And is now also, by the way, the manager of the Yankees.
He was now the manager of the Yankees.
Right.
And so that was like for Aaron and I, like learning how, when we're both hitting minded, more so neither one of us were a pitcher, to kind of figure out that balance. And we would talk and kind of, to be honest, like you just get to know what gets people excited. Because we're a team. So what's going to make a great broadcast? Like I could say the perfect thing, Alex could say the perfect thing, but if we're not all on the same page, and Matt Veskursion, who's our play-by-play, it doesn't make for a good broadcast. So what's going to get you like, what? So that was my thing with Alex, was finding out what gets you excited. Like obviously, we know how your records, everything you were as a player, but then there's this whole knowledge side to him that you recognize, which you don't see a lot in super talented players because, I mean, let's be real, they're 5 years old and they just can hit, so they never really learn anything.
Exactly
they're
right.
just like, they
That's
rake.
why many of them make the worst coaches.
Yes,
Right,
they can't teach because they're just like, just do it.
Exactly.
Like,
What's wrong
that's
with you?
what I did.
Right, exactly.
Alex is the exact opposite. Like he not only is incredibly talented, but then he does his homework and his research and just understands and dives in and just it's endless. I want, when we're breaking down like whatever it is, anything honestly in the game, I want to hear what Alex Rodriguez would do because that's, I mean, he's another level within the game that we're covering, and I can read him now and feel his like body sitting next to me, so I can tell when he's still thinking. So okay, I can jump in. And he can always follow. But then there's time, and now like we can tap and like it's almost just like, I got this,
Yes.
I will always take a back seat to Alex with, as far as when he is excited and he has that energy. You talk about energy. Because when he does that, I feel like he's one of the best broadcasters out there.
Yeah, there's team dynamics and everything that people are listening to here. So it's like you can't just, nobody wins in business or anything like solo. There's people around you all the time. One thing he tells me about you all the time is like, you have no idea how hard this lady works and how prepared she is. Those are the things about you. And then the other thing that he's told me is just like, she always is thinking about how to put me in the best position to win. And this is what he says about you. And that's a lesson for everyone with any company, any business. You have to be in a broadcast booth. It's your work ethic, it's your preparation, and it's putting the people around you in the best position to win, which you need to get credit for, because not only are you great on your own, but you're great also, and your knowledge level of the game is just through the roof.
But that also helps you. Like I don't know, and this is playing team sports your whole entire life, but like if you want to win, I want to win. And I'm competitive. Like, I get it. If it's me in an arena, like boxing match, me versus you, like there ain't no team. Like I'm kicking your butt. Like let's go.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about success, in pretty much anything you do, even when you're working on a project, it takes a team. Raising children. And not just my husband and I mean, we got like lots of people that help us and support us. Like, and I've learned that like, I can't do it myself. And I learned that as a teammate. Like when I played on teams where I could be the best hitter, the best athlete, hit a home run every time and we lose. I don't want to lose.
I love that.
I want to win.
I love that.
So you win by figuring out your teammates.
Because of the role you're in, not everyone's going to love you. You got haters and detractors, right? How do you deal with that? Because people out there have them too. If you're going to do anything great in your life, get ready. Someone's coming at you. Do you not care? Does it bother you? What do you do with it?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I'd love to sit here and be like, doesn't bother me. Screw all you haters. Like, I think I tried that for a little bit. They do. They get to you. And not all of them. I mean, I've changed my relationship with like social media, not reading, because you talk about you focus on the losses. I also focus on the negative. Like people could come and say overly positive things over and over and over, and I gloss over it. I read it, but I don't let it sink in. Someone comes at me with something negative, and I reread it, and it's like, you know, and then I find out they have 5 followers, or like, you know, and I'm like, why am I focused in on this egghead? Because it's like not even a real avatar. I don't even know if they're human, you know. And here I am, and they're gonna affect my day. They're gonna affect in my early years, like 3 years ago. A Sunday night baseball, back in the day. A Sunday night baseball, like I get on air, and all of a sudden their words would come in my head, like shut up, you're not good enough. Shut up, you didn't play. Shut up, like, and I would start talking, and I would stop talking.
My goodness.
And that's when I realized, Jess, you got to stop. Like, you got to figure out, because they're not going away.
Wow.
And so you can't let them affect the way that you go about doing what you do.
Thank you for saying that. I'm amazed that you said that. How did you do it?
What I learned is, so Twitter is like the worst of them. Even though I use Twitter and I love it for other reasons, I don't look at my mentions for like 24 to 48 hours after a Sunday night baseball game, because that's when they're strong. And they're strong positive and they're strong negative. Everyone has a strong reaction to me. No one's just like, oh, unfortunately, like no one's like, oh, it's a female, no big deal.
Right, it's a big deal.
So everyone has some sort of reaction. And so I just don't read them. And when I come back on there, it's died down. If anyone has anything to say, it's not like crazy. And if someone really wants to come up and say something to me to my face, or I found that is always constructive. Like whoever has the balls to actually like come up to me and be like, I didn't think you did a good job with, and I've had people come up and say that, we can actually have a conversation.
Right. Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm so relieved, Ed, because that means you listen to me.
Yeah.
I mean, half the time it's like, oh, you're a woman. I'm like, does anyone like hear me? Like,
right.
I know I'm a female. I've known that my
pretty
whole
sure
life.
It's been this
Thank
way
you.
for quite a while.
Yeah, thank you for making me realize my gender. But it's literally when it's something that's like, oh, you listen to me. Because that I can take. And we might even still disagree. I might still argue, but no, his back foot was in that position. But now we're having a real human conversation, not an egghead, I hate you, go away.
I really appreciate you talking about it, because I think people need to know that is part of what you face. It's part of what everybody will face if they're going to do anything great in their life that's just different. Like if you're the first entrepreneur, you're the first person trying to make 6 figures, you're the first person trying to go to college. You know, you're going to switch through a career your whole family thought you should be in. But you do face that. And so I've always wondered how, because they affect me even. It's really strange. Like I'm in this mental toughness position I'm supposed to be in. And even yesterday there was a video out and someone made a criticism. But I've also distinguished between, you know, what I think is legitimate criticism and just one of these blank avatars who just hates people, you know. But I appreciate you.
But it's still like, that's the thing is like, and I've gotten better, and I think our skin gets thicker the more of it we get. I mean, I come from a sport in softball where everyone's pretty much like positive and maybe little things here and there, but everyone's just lifting you up, lifting you up, lifting you up. So in the beginning, it was hard to like just hear like a lot of just and my thing is like, I don't know, my husband makes fun of me because I'm very naive in that like I really believe like, I don't know, like there's something good in like everybody.
Me too.
And so when people are, it's not that, it's more like I can feel their hatred. And so I've said this, I'm like, I just want to sit down with them and be like, why do you hate me?
Right.
Like,
Why do you hate me?
And you can hate me after this, but can we just talk about it? Like,
what I found,
why are you so angry?
But what I found overall is that for the most part, and I don't mean this to hurt anybody's feelings, they hate them. Like the time it takes to type something like that. And by the way, it always isn't more negative than positive, because when you do something very well, people aren't likely to go, you did this very well. It's usually you're going to get an overwhelming majority of the people who type something to you that's negative, but typically they're projecting upon you something that's bothering them in their own life. And I remind myself of that all the time, and I actually try to help them. If I'm going to respond, I usually try to respond by helping them. So, but everybody listen to her. Everybody listen to her, because that is one of the things when you're pioneering, when you're trailblazing, there's more of this than you can imagine with her, and you deal with it very well. The way you're dealing with it is you're winning. So all of you that are like, how do I deal with it? It affects you. Got to win. You're winning. She's freaking winning. Like, she just renewed. She's so great at what she does. You know, the 1% of the people out there decide to type something. Obviously, everybody else thinks you're going pretty damn good because you just renewed, right?
And I think I was tested for the first time in my life since probably like high school, when you're battling through like awkwardness, like who am I? Like, you know, your insecurities are at an all-time high. And then, you know, through my life, I found this very confident, like, I can kick ass in life. Like, I'm gonna do this, you know. And I found this very confident person. And all of a sudden, when you think you got it, like, you know, I was right back to being 15 again.
I know.
And so I had to like really look inside me and find out, like, why is this affecting me? What about me? What are the weaker parts? And I had to get strong again. I thought I was so strong. And I preached it. I mean, all of my whole life before this, all I did was speak to young girls about like being an Olympic athlete and finding strength and standing out. And here I am not even listening to my own words. And so that, like, it was like a slap in the face of like, how do I find that strong person again that apparently I've been not faking, but like thinking this whole time, like I'm so strong. And then one person comes, or not one person, but
I know what you mean.
And they come and attack you. And the next thing I know, I'm like, oh, wow. And I start doubting myself, and I'm stopping in the middle of a broadcast what I'm saying because I heard so many people telling me to shut up. And so I'm like, you know what, I really had to find myself again.
Wow.
And I'd lost her. Like, I don't know, you know, I thought that she was always there, but it was actually kind of cool, because I thought once you graduate high school, all the awkwardness of like figuring all that stuff out, but it can come at any age. And I learned that.
Man, there's a lot of reasons why we did today, but for me, like, this is the reason, because it's interesting. This is so good for everyone to hear, like they're listening in on me and you on this, but I'm in the space of teaching people how to win and be mentally tough and change their confidence and their identity and all these things. I've been talking about it forever, typically in front of favorable audiences all the time, right? And I was that insecure, shy, very unconfident young guy too. And it's amazing, even the way that you worded it, that dude's still there. And I didn't know he was still there until I went in this and I got some criticism for a thing or two here. And I should say even me, that sounds arrogant, but I went back to like, maybe I don't want to do this. That's not worth it, you know. And I went back to that guy for a while too. I'm like, oh, you've been like full of shit for a while here. Like, you aren't this completely strong, studly, completely have all the answers guy. Exactly the same thing. And I had to kind of rediscover that in myself too. Like, I need to practice what I'm preaching. And I think for everyone to know this, there's going to be moments where you do step back. That I don't think that dude like completely ever goes away from who I used to be.
No.
And you have to work like hell to keep him away. Like, once you think he's away, he's still there, or she's still there. So,
but it makes you human. Like, that's what I realized is, like, I'd be talking to these girls, and I've learned the more I share that I say, there's times I look myself in the mirror and I don't see what I want. I see all the things that I could be doing better, and it's real, it's relatable. And so then I have to find that strength now every day. Like, I got to figure out, and it's easy to have the cover. You know, because I am a strong person. That person is there. But there also is the other.
Yes.
And it isn't until the haters come out, or even honestly, your
own criticism of yourself. Me too.
That's actually what comes out the most.
Me too.
My own little Twitter handle in my head.
No, me too. It's the worst one. I gave a speech a while ago that wasn't good by my standards.
Yeah.
In front of a lot of people, maybe like 30,000 people. And these guys filmed me afterwards on my jet. And I think I almost looked like the verge of tears. You know, like, how do you feel like you did today? I said, honestly, terrible. You know, and I'm back to that guy again. But I actually think it's a little bit healthy, like you said, because I'm looking for improvement in me when I do those things. So really, really grateful that you shared that with everybody, because everyone's going through that, and you go through it to a large extent. So I'm glad that you said it that way. A couple more things then.
Yeah.
You got a book.
Yeah.
It's right here. It's been here the whole time.
Hi, book.
Hi, book. So what is There's No Base Like Home? You and your sister wrote this book, right?
Yes.
Who's it for, and what is it about? Talk about a busy woman. So
Well, it came out this year. And oh my gosh, I never realized, I mean, like writing a book,
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know what I thought. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It took years.
Yes.
And honestly, my sister wasn't a part of it at first. It was just me. They were going to kind of like get like a ghostwriter that kind of helps navigate you. And I just, struggling to get through it because my life had changed and all this stuff was happening. And then they decided, you know what, your sister, she's 11th grade English teacher, Alana Dusan, and they were like, has she ever written anything? I'm like, no. Like, what if you guys did this together? I mean, the book was always about two softball sisters, basically girls growing up trying to navigate everything, right? Trying to navigate life, trying to navigate cultural. There's definitely a little bit of the Hispanic, but it's not even the Hispanic. It's more of just like your family, all you've known, but now you're getting pressured by friends to believe and think other things. And then the sport aspect, which is what I love because it's got the softball in there. But then two sisters, and so to write this with my sister.
How cool!
And even though it's definitely a fiction, it is my family.
Really?
And it just turned out that way.
Based in truth.
The stories there, I cried when I finished it. And it was really cool because my dad, and we had talked about my father earlier, when my dad, who doesn't read books, no offense, Dad, but he just doesn't read books, when he read this book, he got emotional.
He did.
And it's because, even the illustrations, like he's got a big Fu Manchu mustache, big Mexican, and so even the illustrator, nailed it with
Really?
getting his idea. But yeah, it's our family. But there's so much reality in there.
Okay.
Too.
Who should read it? What age would you say?
It's geared towards 8 to 12-year-olds.
Okay.
But I don't know. I have so many. I have so many people that have read it. Honestly, women that I'm friends with have gone and read the book, and it just dives into so many different things. And like I said, you might think it's 8 to 12-year-old stuff, but
It's adult stuff too.
we wrote it as adults with the mindset of what it was like then. But it definitely, I felt myself get in here and just how you kind of battle and find yourself. Wow. That sounds so but it really is a constant, and what we talked about, a constant battle, and just getting back to being different. And you said that, you said special, what makes you special. My thing is, everyone has something about them that's different.
That's right.
And it comes in all these different forms, but we're so pressured, Ed, and I feel like I can only speak as women, but to fit in. To look like everyone else, to act like everyone else, to have the cool, whatever it is, to fit in.
Yeah.
But standing out is where it's at.
Yes.
And
really.
standing out is literally finding the things that make you different and owning them and waving that flag and being like, this is who I am.
I already know where you're going to be eventually, just so you know. This is the space you're going to be in eventually because your stuff is so good and it's so true. And the people that I know that are the happiest and most successful are the most self-aware. And that's what you are. And that's what we're talking about today. It's about being self-aware about the things that you're strong at, your struggles, the little girl that's still in there. You're just a very self-aware woman, and that's why you're so powerful. How do they find the book? Now I want one. You told me there's one here for me somewhere,
yes,
right?
I know.
Okay.
I know.
I want it.
It's my son's version.
This is your son's version.
What's cool is he bookmarked, so all these pages, he bent the pages.
Oh, wow.
So that he goes back and he reads them. His name's in here too, so he loves that.
Oh,
but
wonderful.
I went and read it at his school, and so he's got 17 pages.
That's so cool.
He earmarked, so if someone comes over and they ask him, he has well, this is my favorite part, and this is my favorite part, and
wonderful. How do they get it?
Oh,
Can you get it on Amazon?
Amazon, but indie bookstores.
Okay.
But yeah, all the usual spots.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll put
you.
it on my Instagram too. We'll promote it for you. So, a couple more things real quick because I'm taking up a bunch of your time. Do you have a mentor? I'm just curious.
I have a lot.
Do you?
I honestly listening to you talk. It you could put in mentor in a bunch of different ways. There's probably people that you continuously go back to, but I find that I love learning from people. The reason I got excited about this is that I started to really learn about you.
Oh, thank you.
No, but the more you can surround yourself with people that are saying the things that you want to hear in yourself, that to me is that's how mentorship happens. It's just surrounding yourself. And even when I was younger, I would literally gravitate to the varsity high school shortstop, Julie Borchard. I would literally follow her around everywhere. And she was my idol. It was a local person.
Yep.
As a 12-year-old girl, she was going to college. She had a full ride scholarship.
She's big time.
She was big time. And I tried to emulate and learn and figure out who she was.
One of the coolest things in life, if everyone has that experience, is to turn a couple of your heroes into your friends. It's like the most miraculous, amazing experience, you know?
Yeah.
I'm conscious of that myself. Is like, if I'm ever that role for somebody, I always want to be available and accessible to people that's why we do this right here, what we're doing. So what would you say to somebody, even though you wouldn't acknowledge any of that? Someone says, hey, I want to turn my life around. It's not where I want it. I want it better. I want to make my dreams happen. Is there any advice you would give to somebody, man or woman, who they go, I watched the whole show, I'm fascinated, like what steps or any advice at all, tactic, thought, idea would you give me to improve my life?
I think it's like literally, and we touched on this earlier, but like finding what makes you different. And I see that in you and your work, is you're not afraid to put out there like the real, the unique, because we're all different. We all are.
Yeah.
And I think what people are craving now more than ever is finding out. So if you're, whatever it is, you know, that you're in, whatever age you are, whatever point you are in your life, whether it's personal, whether it's business, is like figuring out who the heck you are. And there's definitely something in there that's like, I don't recognize this in anyone else. And normally, I think our instinct is to be like, okay, push that back down. Like, I don't know where you came from, but like, that's not gonna fit in this room. Don't fit in. Don't fit in. Just like totally stand out. And when I think about standing out, that's like what like successful people do. They stand out, whether it's because they're smart in a certain way or, but I really believe in the person, and what allows you to continue that success is just to own whoever it is. When you know, everyone knows that part of you.
Yes.
It walks into a room and is like, this ain't like any of you.
Yes.
And just own that. And you're going to get some weird looks sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're going to get people that are going to be like, she's weird.
Yes.
And kind of be okay with that too.
I love that because I love that because I think through that gift you have is also where your purpose is and your passion. So what you said is like, I could not answer that any better or differently. Like, I honestly believe every human being was born with some unique blessing or gift or multiple ones to them. It could be your communication skills, your intensity, your math skills, nurturing, humor, beauty, kindness, listening skills, but you have them. And when you can just get quiet and allow yourself a little bit of credit, go, you know, that's one thing I'm good at. You know, because people have this long list of stuff, I'm not any good at this. But you were born with a gift. You were born with some blessings. And one of the great joys of your life is when you discover that. And then if you really want to be happy, you take that gift and that blessing and you use it towards doing good work for other people. And now you've got a formula for being fulfilled. And so.
And not just for them, but like connecting with them. And that's what you do. It's not just, I want to use this for you. It's like taking that and being like, I'm going to use this so that we can just meet in this like way, and then you take whatever you created there and you take that to the next level, and you meet all these amazing people, and then you end up like just spreading that, whatever that is, whatever you just found together.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being like me giving this to you, it's like, no, we're giving each other. Yeah.
I think you just described you better than you described me. I think that's literally what you've been doing all your life, all the way from in the Olympics, walking over there to the Iraqi athlete, all the way to the way you described your relationship in the booth with your family, and then with the book, and then here today. I think you're amazing. Like, I'm so really glad we did this. I knew this was going to be really good from watching you and admiring you on TV. Then we met, I knew it would be good, and things Alex said, but this exceeded what I thought it would be today. Like, I'm glad. I love this. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You helped so many people today. So, hey, everybody, well, you can follow Jessica on Instagram. Where's that where they should find you?
Jess Mendoza 2.
Jess Mendoza 2 on Instagram. You're already following me probably, but what you need to do is you need to make sure you're subscribed to this podcast if you're listening to the audio, or subscribe to the YouTube version as well. And remember, every day on Instagram, I do the max out 2-minute drill, which means if you make a comment on my Instagram in the first 2 minutes with that hashtag max out next to it in the main post, we do a drawing every day, and you get gear from me, books, coaching calls with me and my guests. Today was miraculously, amazingly awesomeness. So thank you so much.
I love all the adjectives.
Yeah, it was all
miraculously,
wonderful.
Amazingly awesomeness. That's the name of this.
I'm gonna trademark that. And thank you for having me in your home too. So thank you so much. Max out. God bless you, everybody. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. If you'd like more, click the videos right here. They're exactly what you need to see next. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and become a part of the Max Out community. And tell me what you think about the videos in the comments below. I read all of them every week, and I select winners that get all kinds of prizes, gear, coaching calls with me.